Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take a stack of your sources and really distill those nuggets of wisdom into something unforgettable. And you've brought us a foundational topic today. I mean, this is central to understanding the very nature of morality and leadership. We are diving deep into Uswatun Hasanatan, the excellent exemplar, and the focus is entirely on the documented life and moral character of the Holy Prophet Muhammad.
That's right. And the sources for this are just incredibly rich. It's a systematic exploration, really.
Told from where, exactly?
Pulled directly from the whole Quran, from his recorded sayings, the Hadith, and from these really detailed historical anecdotes that capture his daily life.
So we're not just here for the philosophy.
No, not at all. We're here for the practical blueprints of a truly virtuous life. And this deep dive, it has to begin with the standard itself. And that standard is set by the divine.
Okay.
The sources remind us that God himself provided the testimonial in the Holy Quran. It's chapter 68, verse 5, and thou dost surely possess high moral excellences.
That's the ultimate stamp of approval right there.
It is. And it establishes the whole concept of Uswatun Hasanatan. It's not just about admiring his words. It's about finding the blueprint for our own conduct in his actions.
What I find so striking and what the sources really hammer home is that this wasn't a reputation that developed after he started his mission.
Exactly. I mean, that's the key point. His moral excellence was recognized universally long before prophethood began.
Across the entire nation, not just his friends and family.
The whole nation. He was known as the truthful, as-Sadiq, and the trustworthy Al-Amin. Now think about that accolade for a second.
Yeah.
It wasn't an award from some committee or a government. It was a reputation earned, organically from an entire populace over decades.
That signifies an unmatched level of integrity.
It does. And that trust, that was the foundation upon which the greatest moral revolution in history was built.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundation.
Yeah.
The prophet's life, as detailed in these sources, it was his constant fulfillment of two critical obligations.
The rights of God and the rights of humanity.
Right. And to truly see him as the exemplar, we need to see how he perfectly balanced both. So let's begin where it all started. His profound connection with the divine.
Well, when you consider the sheer scope of his mission, I mean, establishing a new law for all time, confronting all this entrenched injustice.
And as one source puts it, turning wild ones into educated, God-conscious people.
Right. The psychological and spiritual burden was just immense. And yet, his private worship, it never, ever slackened.
Which brings us to the question of motive, doesn't it? Why? Why did he maintain such a rigorous standard of devotion? We have that beautiful, intimate account from his wife, Aisha. She saw him standing in prayer deep into the night.
For so long that it caused him physical strain, his feet would swell.
Exactly. And she, in this moment of pure affection, she asks him, why put yourself through such difficulty? You're already God's elect. What's the point of this rigor?
And his answer, it just shifts the entire paradigm of worship. It's so simple and so profound.
What did he say?
He just replied, "O Aisha, should I not be a grateful servant?"
Wow.
You see, the sources make it crystal clear. His worship wasn't a forced requirement. It wasn't a means to earn salvation. It was an act of shukr.
Gratitude.
Intense, overflowing gratitude for the immense favor of being chosen as the final law-bearing prophet.
That's a monumental insight. It turns worship from something we have to do into a gift we get to give.
It connects his heart directly to his actions. And that deep gratitude, it translated into this profound emotional intensity toward God's word.
Like that moving anecdote where he asked his companion, Abdullah bin Masud, to recite the Quran to him.
Yes, he said he enjoyed hearing it from others.
And when the companion gets to that verse in Surah Nisa, the one about the Day of Judgment.
The moment when God brings a witness from every people, and the prophet himself will be a witness against his own community.
He tells him to stop.
Just stop. And the companion looks up, and the sources say tears were just streaming from the prophet's eyes.
And that wasn't fear for himself.
No, not at all. It was sheer, overwhelming concern for his followers, lest their actions would require him to bear witness against them. His worship was completely linked with his deep compassion for humanity.
And this commitment, it didn't waver, right?
Yeah.
Even when faced with the ultimate physical limitations.
Not at all. Look at the accounts from his final days. Despite a severe illness, when the law would have absolutely allowed him to pray sitting or lying down.
He insisted on going to the mosque.
He insisted on attending congregational prayer. The sources recount him leaning on two companions.
His feet were dragging on the ground.
Dragging on the ground from weakness just to get to the mosque and join the public prayer. He was demonstrating right up to his last moments the immense importance of that communal duty.
That intensity, it moves us smoothly into the next phase of the exemplar. His role as a teacher, as a reformer.
Establishing the proper rules and etiquette for that very same worship.
Yeah.
Upholding God's majesty, but also teaching people sincerity.
A perfect example is that custom of clapping to get attention.
Yes, a common cultural habit in Arabia, and it seeped into the place of worship.
So the prophet was delayed, and he'd asked Abu Bakr to lead the prayer. When the prophet finally arrived, people started clapping.
Right, to signal to the imam, hey, the prophet's here.
So what happens?
After the prayer, he addresses them directly. He didn't want worship polluted by these casual cultural habits. He told them to stop clapping and replace that custom with zikri ilahi.
The remembrance of God.
Exactly. If you need to draw attention, you just say, Subhanallah, holy is Allah. In one simple move, he purified the act of worship, ensuring every sound made in the mosque glorified God.
So there's the rigor. But he also had this deep understanding of human limits and a real aversion to, what's the term?
Takaluf, self-imposed hardship.
Right, and that's illustrated perfectly by the story of the rope in the mosque.
It is. One of his wives, Zainab, was so devoted to prayer that when she grew tired, she would tie herself to a rope fixed between two pillars, just to force herself to stay standing.
And the prophet's reaction.
Immediate. Take down this rope. The principle he established was profoundly humane. One should only offer prayer as long as one feels spiritual vitality or bisha.
So it's about sincerity, not just endurance.
Exactly. God desires ease and sincerity, not unnecessary suffering or spiritual burnout. You pray when the spirit is willing and energetic, not when you're forcing yourself into collapse. It's a clear instruction against performative piety.
But, and this is the crucial counterbalance, that principle of ease was not a license for carelessness.
Absolutely not. He demanded quality in the prayer. It's all about that perfect balance.
Which brings us to the story of the man who prayed really quickly.
The famous story, yes. A companion prayed very quickly after the congregation, and the prophet sent him back.
Not just once.
3 or 4 times. He kept telling him, you haven't truly prayed. The instruction was to pray with care, mentioning God, reciting the durid, ensuring proper bowing and prostration, taking time.
So true ease isn't about speed, it's about vitality plus quality.
Precisely. Rushing through the motions to check a box is a total misunderstanding of both devotion and that principle of bisha.
Okay, so we've seen the standard he set for the rights of God. Now let's turn to the rights of humanity, starting with, well, the most immediate testing ground, his domestic life.
And the sources show his treatment of his wives was just excellent and characterized by this profound gentleness. I mean, this is the ultimate test of character.
Of course.
Even when faced with harshness or irritability, the things that just happen in a marriage, his reaction was often to smile and just deflect the matter gently. He chose peace.
My favorite detail is the one he shared with his wife, Aisha, about her moods.
Yes.
He told her he could always tell when she was happy with him. If she swore an oath, she would say, by the Lord of Muhammad, but when she was angry.
She'd switch it up and swear by the Lord of Abraham.
And she laughed and said he was exactly right. I mean, that level of attention and lighthearted acceptance of his spouse's feelings, it's incredible relational intelligence.
It is a key component of the excellent exemplar.
And his loyalty, his compassion, it extended so far beyond his current household. We see this enduring loyalty to his first wife, Khadijah, years after she passed away.
Years later, the sources say he would immediately stand up to greet her friends, just out of respect for her memory. His eyes would fill with tears if he saw something she had made or owned.
That's a devotion that transcended death.
It did. And that compassion, it all comes to a head in one of the most emotional stories from the sources, the ransom at the Battle of Badr.
His son-in-law was captured, and his daughter Zainab, she sent what little she had to free him.
She sent her mother Khadijah's only heirloom, a simple necklace.
And when it was presented to the prophet as payment,
he instantly recognized it. His eyes just filled with tears. He knew the immense sacrifice his daughter was making, giving up her last tangible souvenir of her mother.
And he didn't just take it.
No. He was so moved, he turned to the companions, who had every right to that ransom, and he didn't command them. He requested. He asked if they would, willingly agree to return the necklace to his daughter.
So she wouldn't be deprived of her mother's final souvenir.
It's a stunning moment. In the middle of a high-stakes military and political situation, he prioritizes the emotional well-being of his daughter. And the companions, seeing this profound empathy, they happily agreed. That is leadership by emotional integrity.
Shifting now to the final aspects we're covering, his extraordinary patience and humility, traits that were rooted really early in his life.
Yes, the resilience starts in his childhood. After his grandfather's death, he's living with his uncle, Abu Talib.
But his uncle's wife was less kind.
Right. The sources say when food came, she'd prioritize her own children, often neglecting the young Muhammad. But the critical detail is that his uncle would come home and find his nephew just sitting quietly, patiently in a corner.
He never complained.
Never complained, never threw a tantrum, no malice toward his cousins. And later, when his own circumstances improved, he showed no resentment. Instead, he took those same cousins, like Ali and Jafar, under his own care. He converted early hardship into later generosity.
And that patience was tested again and again. There are two incredibly powerful anecdotes that really define the height of his forbearance.
They're defining moments, for sure.
The first is the grieving mother at the cemetery. He advises her to be patient after her child died, and she, consumed by grief, doesn't recognize him.
And she snaps back at him, saying he couldn't possibly know patience unless his own child had died.
And he just walks away.
He doesn't correct her. He doesn't reveal who he is. He just walks away calmly. It's only later that she finds out the man she spoke to so harshly had, in fact, lost 7 of his own children. He chose silence over self-justification.
That level of humility is almost superhuman. And the second story, with the Jewish man arguing with him.
It shows that same unmatched forbearance. The man is being disrespectful, repeatedly calling him by his first name, Mohammed. A companion gets outraged at the slight.
And the prophet's response
Is just to smile and say, "He is right. My parents named me Muhammad. Leave him alone." That complete refusal to be offended, that lack of defensiveness, it's a staggering example of self-mastery.
This philosophy must feed directly into his concept of total reliance on God, or tawakkul.
It does. And the avoidance of shul begging, or implicitly asking for help, the sources give a legendary anecdote for this.
The one from the battlefield.
That's the one. A companion's horse reins drop in the middle of a dangerous battle. A fellow soldier moves to pick them up for him, and the companion stops him.
Why?
He explains that he had promised the prophet never to ask anything of anyone, and accepting the reins, even without speaking, would have been an implicit request.
To maintain that principle in a life-or-death situation, that is really putting the philosophy into practice. It makes you reconsider what asking for help even means.
And ultimately, the key moral philosophy he established, the akhlaka fazila, active virtue, is that virtue is just the correct, moderated use of our natural human faculties.
So it's not virtue to, say, close your eyes and avoid all sights.
No, that's a denial of our God-given abilities. The virtue is in the correct application. Closing your eyes to avoid bad sights, or shutting your ears to avoid gossip. You master the control of the faculty. You don't suppress the faculty itself.
And finally, to tie it all back to where we started, with worship and gratitude, he constantly reinforced the need to rely on God's grace.
When people suggested that his incredible actions guaranteed him paradise, he stated it clearly, and this is a hadith from Bukhari. He said that he too would only enter paradise by the grace and mercy of God.
Not by the strength of his own deeds alone.
Never. The humility was absolute, even in the face of all his achievements.
So if we connect all these strands, what's the big picture?
We see how the prophet demonstrated gratitude through unparalleled worship, found ease in virtue while demanding quality, and showed profound patience and compassion to everyone, from family to opponents. He was the complete blueprint for a life of both spiritual and temporal excellence.
So what does this all mean for us? It seems the ultimate guidance from his life was to cultivate active virtue, to seek self-mastery over our abilities, and to strive for closeness to God through genuine, heartfelt gratitude. But here's a final thought for you to mull over as we finish this deep dive. The prophet gave some powerful advice against ever wishing for death, even when you're facing extreme difficulty or suffering. Why?
Because, as he explained it, life, no matter how painful or challenging it seems, always offered you one of 2 vital opportunities, either to increase your virtue in your good deeds, or, if you're a sinner, to repent and seek forgiveness.
So think about how that perspective transforms our view of hardship. It turns every single moment of existence into a crucial, indispensable opportunity.